All right, Jacqui, what do you got?
Jacqui, you're gonna
Coming in hot.
Welcome to New Life Live with Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's today's host, Becky Brown.
Hello, everybody. I am so glad that you joined us today. You can give us a call at 1-800-229-3000. We're going to take calls for the next hour with Chris Williams and Dr. Jacqui Mack-Harris. And I was so excited. I'm excited to be in the same room with you guys because normally I'm phoning it in. But Jacqui and I actually were at the Intimacy and Marriage Intensive this past weekend, and it was so great to work with you. But was that your first time doing the intensive like that?
It was.
And your takeaway?
It was fabulous. To go from Friday to Sunday with this group of couples and see the transformation, just their body language, the way they sat with each other, and as a couples therapist that works with high conflict couples, it was really cool to see the work that could be done in a couple of days.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I know, Chris, you've done it before.
Uh-huh.
And, we teach people about what's historical becomes hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
And even Jacqui, you just mentioned something right before air about that.
That I noticed in concentration, right? I see it spread out in my work, but sitting there with them so many times throughout the day, I noticed that childhood trauma wakes up in our marriage.
Yeah.
We say this is the relationship where you can heal. It's also a place where we get hurt, but that's the childhood trauma waking up. And when people connected with that, they turned away from their resentment and turned towards their partner, and it was just incredible.
Well, it's the great conundrum of intimacy. Yeah. We all crave it, and we're terrified at the same time. Because what intimacy does is it reveals. And what does it reveal? Well, everything if you give it time. Yeah. And so all of those historical pains and hurts, and there's the trick of marriage. It's like I had buried all those things because I'm a really good defender. I have a defensive mechanism inside of me that is very skilled and gifted and had done workouts over.
Although I think that I'm just healthy.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
That's what you tell yourself anyway. Yeah.
Well,
it works pretty good.
Yeah. I got it all together.
Yeah.
And then you showed up. And then it revealed all this stuff. And so the mistake I make is that it's your problem.
You're the problem.
Yeah, rather than I have this problem I'm carrying and I don't know how to work through it. And I think that that's the strength of this 2-day experience. This intensive allows us to not just address the what, because, we know in our marriages, we can circle the same painful mountain on the what all day long. For years.
And almost every couple has a version of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. That it's a creative on a theme, right? It's like, oh, this is your dynamic. This is your what do they call it? The attachment
style
and the cycle.
Your love style, and here's your core pattern.
Core pattern. That's the word I was looking for.
Well, and when we learn core patterns and when we learn a comfort circle, when we learn the how, a healthy how can bear almost any what.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to get to. We need to establish healthy hows on how to do relationship, how to do conversation, how to do intimacy, because again, that is the strength that bears whatever what will come our way.
And there's this weird idea that it's not supposed to be uncomfortable. Like,
right.
If you feel something, it's being done wrong.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and that goes along with, when we first fall in love, it feels so good, and the other person can do no wrong. And yet, wait a minute, don't eat the wedding cake, right? Because then everything goes wrong.
Good.
I love that you shared that and shared with us this weekend. I know that those couples that you worked with are better for it.
It was a blessing. I'm better for it.
Oh,
It was great.
That's awesome.
well, we're going to continue to take your calls. We got some coming in, 1-800-229-3000. Whether you have identified your core pattern or maybe you're single and you're thinking, this has nothing to do with me. Oh, it has everything to do with you because it's you. You're the common denominator. Let's fix it.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. They're just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. The Every Man's Battle Intensive can help.
After 7 years, he just, in one weekend, came back a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Intensive.
He said this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
Now the intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, March 1st through the 3rd. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
I just can't say enough of what New Life has done for our marriage.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Back. We are taking calls for the next hour, 1-800-229-3000. You know, one of the things that I want to just share with you listeners, we're going to do Emotional Freedom March 16th with both Dr. Jacqui Mack-Harris and Chris Williams. And, you know, it's an online workshop, and we will have the breakout groups with the counselors. And, you know, maybe you need to spend that one day getting to the root of whatever is keeping you stuck. And you can find all the information. You can call us or go to newlife.com. And I know Chris and Jacqui will change your life. Steve's going to be joining us on that day as well. And, you know, I just know that if you need a time where it is designated, I want some emotional freedom, I want to get unstuck, that's the day that you can join us that day.
Well, and if I can just do one more plug, because I hear the protests or the resistance, you know, I don't have the time or I don't have the financial resources. Stuck negative emotions are ripping your time away,
Yes.
and they are draining your bank account. I can guarantee it. So invest in this well and watch it grease the wheels of the rest of your life. When we get emotionally free, it starts to provide fuel and energy for everything else.
I love it. And if you're confused about it, we have a free quiz to see if you're emotionally free. You can go to newlife.com and take that. And I think that'll give you some clarity, but we'd love to see you then. We're going to go to the calls. We are going to talk with Diane, who's calling us from Washington, D.C., listens on WAVA. Hello, Diane. How are you today?
I am blessed and grateful. Thank you for asking.
Yes. How can we help you today?
Okay, I'm calling for my sister, who I'm going to encourage to listen to this on the net once you give her some advice. She has experienced some deep church hurt that must go back maybe 30 years because we're both senior citizens now. But she continues to bring it up from time to time, which means it's still not resolved. And so, just real quick background: our mother left when I was 5 and she was 3 from a mental illness. Went to a mental institution, and my sister was most like my mother, and so my father kind of took a lot of things out on her. She was the third child, so she never had a lot of confidence. She never had much self-esteem. And so she battles with that. But what occurred is she was at a church, and I guess there was some really big youth event of some kind, and someone just begged her to be the MC. And she, kept trying to say, no, I don't want to do that. I can't do that. But somehow they got her to do it. And so she's on stage at a church which is medium to large size, 20, 30 years ago. And, of course, she does the best she can, but she said everything fell apart that day. And when the pastor's wife, not the pastor, but the pastor's wife, came up and got on stage, she looked at my sister and she said, well, next time be better prepared.
Oh, wow.
And my sister, and it's like, okay, now my father treated her really, really bad, but she never brings that up over and over again.
Okay.
But she has brought this up to me and to her friends maybe once every couple years or something. She has to share it with us. And so that experience evidently was deeper hurt to her than anything my father ever did, because the two of them reconciled in their old age.
So Diane, what is the question for us? How can we help you with that? Or how can we help your sister the best with that?
Well, I'm trying to, out of the blue, I said, well, Marilyn, next time I come to Pittsburgh, we're going to have a funeral for this event. We're going to bury it. She thought that was real funny. But I'm trying just to suggest what she can do, or me and her friends can do, to help her bury this. Because she doesn't need to re-experience it every time she belabors it again, sharing it with us.
Well, and I think, Diane, too, you're probably tired of hearing it as well. Chris, how would you start?
So Diane, I love, oh, go ahead.
No, she starts the conversation with me by saying, okay, I know I said this to you before, but please just listen.
Okay, so it's important. I love this idea of having a funeral. I think it's fantastic. But you got to bury the right thing.
Oh.
And so if you bury the event, it will do nothing, because the event isn't the problem. Right?
Okay.
The event was a megaphone for the actual problem. So I'm going to make something up about your sister, and it might echo something true. So your sister, who lost her mom, whose father did not treat her well, she has all this pain, all this angst, all this hurt, and also this abandonment of mom, not her fault, and again, the kind of rejection of dad, not her fault either, or the mistreatment of her dad. And she believes that she is unworthy and not good enough. And so she's been carrying that her whole life. And there's these like little markers all along the way that scream out, see, that's trying to prove this message true about her, this belief she has about her. In that moment, that pastor's wife was the proverbial straw on the camel's back, or the tipping point. It's not that thing. It's all of the things underneath that thing. And all of that is the high water level of, or poison, I'll say, the high poison level of her negative belief about herself that moment gets all the credit for.
Wow. So
if she can identify what her core shame message is, bury that. Have a funeral for that.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, it looks like the problem was that event. All that event did was make public what she'd already been dealing with. And so she keeps coming back to that because everybody saw it.
That's good.
She was naked in front of everyone. And that has not been validated. Part of why she keeps coming to you with the story is because when she comes, you try to make it better. You don't just validate, that sucked. That was awful. You shouldn't have had to go through that. That broke your heart. Just like all the times before when somebody demeaned you or minimized you. And so she's really getting more from you and the friends of what she's already got. That she's not even enough to stop talking about this silly thing that happened 20 years ago. So just if you're going to bury anything, it needs to be the actual problem, which is the shame she has carried throughout her life for not being enough for her parents to stay for mom to be healthy enough to stay, even though mom had, maybe no control over that and wasn't good enough for dad to accept her and not reject her. In his grief, he took it out on her. She could forgive him because it was private and it was so close. He's so close on her inner circle. She desperately wanted it. Mm-hmm. She can be angry at that pastor's wife because she's so far removed from her. She can cut her off. Right. She could not like her, but she couldn't do that with dad. She needed that connection.
And I think, Jacqui, the point that you made is really important, and that is this happened in a public setting.
Yep.
She can no longer be in control of that message.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now everyone's seen it.
So going back, let's talk to Marilyn, even though Diane's the one calling, but this is going to be going to Marilyn. Give Marilyn some steps of, because I'm thinking those soul words, how did you feel? What?
Yeah, your 4 questions.
Right.
Yeah. I heard Mark use a term of observing self, observing self, right? So the 4 questions work within that. What do I feel? Why do I feel that way? Where do I feel it in my body? Mm-hmm. And what do I need? Marilyn, you need to learn to look at yourself and stop looking at other people looking at you, because you're missing what's really happening inside of you. And I think, Diane, that's why she keeps bringing it up. She's trying to regulate. Yes. And when you are talking with her, you regulate her.
Yeah,
she can come to you and you're like, it's good, we're fine, this happened a long time ago, and you bring her down, and so then she feels stable, and then it runs out, and in about 2 years later she needs to do it again. So Marilyn, you have to find out what you are feeling apart from everybody else, and then you determine what you need, looking at what you can do for yourself first, and then who's the best other to connect with. And you might just need to cry on your sister's shoulder and grieve the loss of that little girl who didn't have the dad or the mom that she really wanted.
I wonder too, Chris, you do a lot of work with storytelling or narrative, and I'm wondering if we can give Marilyn a different story about that experience. What would you say?
I would say, Marilyn, okay, people did not respect your boundaries. Your no was a no. And a person in power, you felt pressured probably to please. And then they put you in that position. And then when you didn't execute it the way they wanted to, or the way you wanted to, for that matter, then they publicly shamed you. That's not okay. That's something that happened to you, just like your childhood, not something you did wrong. So the true story is that says nothing about you and everything about the leadership.
There you go.
Yes.
And so, but I still want you to know, Marilyn, that you are loved and you don't have to perform to get it. And that you are worthy and you don't have to be someone to have worth. You already are someone. And your work is to go discover that and then root it deep in your heart.
Yeah, I love that. And, Diane, the thing that we get into in relationship is it's like what we were talking before about these, why am I forgetting that word? The circles.
Core
pattern.
Yeah,
You and your sister have a core pattern.
Yes.
Marilyn tells you the story and you respond with a shutdown. Yeah. And so somebody's got to change that dance step.
Yeah.
And so I love that you called on behalf of her. And I think, Marilyn, as you listen to this, you're going to have insight. But it's disrupting a core pattern.
Absolutely. And to change the story, I think we need to look at where we came from. And so now here you are today as the adult woman that you are, at the age that you are, having lived the life that you've lived. What would you say your story has been? Has it been a horror story? Has it been a romantic comedy? Has it been a drama? Has it been an action flick? What's the story behind you? What does it say about you today? What's the truth? What's the lies? We got to weed that out. And then you decide, who are you and who do you want to be going forward?
Yeah.
And so you can look at your story to figure out, how did I get here? What does this all mean to me? And maybe the conversation with Diane, Marilyn, can be more about that.
Yeah.
Like who I want to be. What have you dreamed about becoming? Because you still have time. As long as we're topside, we still have time. So
do you know? Well, and even to that point too, Diane, when you think about what Marilyn has accomplished in her life, everything gets reduced to that young woman on the stage. As opposed to celebrating this whole life that has been lived and is worth celebrating.
And maybe, Diane, when you're with her, as Becky said, changing the core pattern, rather than saying, that she should just get over that, it happened so long ago, give her room to talk about what that did to her. Make her think about what it did to her. And I think she'll end up talking about some other things once she can talk about what it did to her. Right. Other things are going to get connected to that. And then you get to point out all the great things that she's done. Yeah, that happened, but it was a learning experience. I used Nelson Mandela's quote, "I never lose. Either I win or I learn something." And I just want to share that with you, Marilyn. What did you learn from that experience? Because I'm sure you did, and I'm sure it's changed how you show up.
I love it. Diane, is that helpful?
Man, that's so amazing. You guys are fabulous.
Well,
thank you.
You're a fabulous sister. You're a fabulous sister. I'm going to send you.
Go help somebody else.
We are going to send you a copy of How We Love, because that's going to help you with that core pattern and understanding that history that changes our story.
And when you work with her, you can use the core pattern out of How We Love to talk through it and to dig deeper for her.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you, Diane, for calling. And if you are listening and you would like to call, you can call us 1-800-229-3000. We are going to take calls. We want to help you. Maybe you're stuck in a core pattern. Maybe you keep having the same discussion over and over again, expecting different results, and we know what that is. Insanity. We'll be right back after this.
For the first time in 2 years, I am free, and I can see God's plan for my life. In January, I got out of an emotionally, physically, and sexually abusive marriage. On October 12th, I was 8 months pregnant and went to a doctor's appointment, and they said that my daughter no longer had a heartbeat. I was very angry with God for the marriage that I was in, for the loss of my daughter. Last night, I surrendered my anger, my pain, my frustration, and my bitterness. And I feel for the first time this morning when I woke up that God has an amazing design for my life.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and this is the story of a new life. She took a step of faith, attended a workshop, and now has hope for her future. You can be part of offering hope to others as you step out in faith by donating to New Life Ministries.
To make your tax-deductible gift, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or text NLM to 28950. Daniel Grossman on coaching.
Coaches are really focused on the future and helping people to develop those skills and those strategies to help them move forward in their life. A coach really partners with you to focus on things like personal growth or health goals, spiritual growth, helping you develop in your career or possibly strengthening your relationships or maybe even breaking free from a negative pattern.
If you need a coach for life, your career, relationships, your health and fitness, leadership, and more, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
Coaches use different techniques. Some like to use strategic questions and accountability, ultimately empowering you to take those next steps toward your goals.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and talk to us about getting a New Life coach today.
I really believe that everyone can use a coach in their corner.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are taking your calls, 1-800-229-3000. And, we've been doing this for 35 years, and we have some amazing history with helping people over those years. Right now, we are going to go to a call that Steve did. Who knows when? It was some time warp before, but we're going to listen to his call with Wayne.
Let's talk to Wayne from Toronto, Canada. Hello, Wayne. Welcome to New Life. How are you?
Hello, gentlemen. How are you today?
Good. What's going on?
Well, I got a real difficult predicament here. I've got marriage 11 years. Suddenly, we moved into our dream house after having 10 years of crisis kind of falling around our feet. And, really, really stressful marriage. And
like financial crises or personal or?
More financial all the time. We kind of had things always kind of just cave in around us all the time, constantly. There's nothing we could do. It just fell around us.
Okay.
Things finally got better. We were moving our dream house. My wife said, I need to go away for a long weekend by myself. I said, no problem. I trust you. She comes back a completely different woman. I question her about it, and all of a sudden she says, I want out. I want a divorce.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm done. I haven't been happy for 11 years, and I'm, floored. What's going on? What's going on?
So what was going on?
So I make some changes. She says she likes it. She's interested. Maybe I'll stick around a little bit. And
now there's a commitment.
Sorry?
I mean, I said there's a commitment. Maybe I'll stick around a little bit.
Yeah, and what happens is she starts confiding into another man then and being consoled by another guy.
Uh-huh.
And it turns out this guy is my son's Sunday school teacher.
Oh, no.
Oh, my goodness.
And so I'm not sure what to do because I'm on pins and needles, so I was afraid to address this situation. So I finally did. And I said, this ain't cool. You got to stop. And I had this guy actually over at my house for dinner. And I got along with him. And I said, do I have to worry about you? And he said, no, my intentions are completely honorable. I went through a divorce with my wife, and our situations are similar. And, I'm trying to help her. Okay. So stupid me kind of let this thing go a little bit. Yeah. And it went to the next level, unbeknownst to me. Now, one of my buddies found out that she went and stayed at his place for night. Then the one time. And so then he went and blew this thing up in church. How do I get rid of this guy? She's agreed to go to a New Life weekend with me just so I sign divorce papers. How do I get rid of this guy so that I have a chance?
All right. If I were you, this just be me. You've already confronted him. You said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" I would go to your pastor and say what you said to us. I did a really stupid thing. I kind of turned my wife over to this guy for counseling, and now they're in an affair. Would you go with me to confront him and ask him to leave her alone so that I can try to rebuild this marriage? What do you think, John?
Yeah, I think I would go from both directions, Wayne. This guy is, especially he's as a church leader, to be that deceptive is a kind of a cancer in the church, and he needs to be quarantined. So I would definitely go to the leadership for his sake, your wife's sake, and the church's sake.
Yeah, there's a lot of other things here too. Like she's like, I gotta admit, I'm not completely innocent in this whole thing either. Like I haven't had an affair or anything like that, but I went through a lot of years of depression that made her life pretty hard. And I don't blame her for being angry at me and a lot of.
Well, depression's not a sin, Wayne. It's an illness.
Yeah, well, that's what she got diagnosed with just a little while ago, about 5 months ago, and she was told she had a chemical imbalance. And so they put her on antidepressants, and then all of a sudden she started floundering around with all these other men. And so now she's had a few one-night stands with other guys, and she says, I don't love you, I just want out of the marriage. And her parents and her friends are absolutely beside themselves. They couldn't understand why she wasn't trying to fix this thing, and that's when we found out that this other guy was involved, but they don't know that we know.
And you said that she's willing to go to a New Life weekend? Yeah,
just to shut me up.
Well, just do it. See what happens. That's the thing to do.
Well,
between now and then, you've got some other things you need to take care of.
Yeah, the other part of that is that you can do everything you can on his end, but is there anything you can do to insist that she stop the relationships with this guy, or is she just going to say, you have nothing to say to me?
If she finds that I know my wife really well, and if she knows that I know she's having a sexual affair with him, she'll could just cut that weekend thing right off and say, that's it, I'm done. I'm moving out of the house today. Like there's other things here. Like I've been listening to your show for a while, and from what I understand, and I know I'm not a doctor, but from what I understand, she's a love addict. I mean, she literally throws herself at men when she's not she's never been without a relationship. Before I met her, 2 years previous to me, our marriage, she had 25 boyfriends within 2 years.
Oh, so she's got lots of what we call dependency issues.
Yeah, and she's had childhood trauma. She was sent to jail when she was 16 for something she didn't do. Her parents had a very public affair in the church.
Well, it sounds like the structure of the marriage stabilized her, but it didn't heal her. a purpose and it gives intimacy and it gives stability. But if there's abuse and trauma and that sort of thing underneath, that stuff doesn't get healed by marriage. And so it was kind of on hold, on ice, until other stresses hit it. And then it's sort of like the tectonic plate starts shifting and the internal stuff just goes crazy. And it sounds like she's now acting out a lot of old stuff. She needs help. She needs serious help. She needs to come to the weekend and be in some real serious therapy when she gets out. And my hope would be that the weekend would give her a context where she can see you as a good person, but even more importantly, to see you as a good person, Wayne, that she sees that she needs help and that her life is headed toward a lot of misery if she allows those old parts from the past to take over.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. Yes, we are taking your calls, 1-800-229-3000, but we want to reflect back on Wayne's call to John and Steve. And, Steve, it's so funny because, Chris, you said something even before Wayne called about these core patterns that we're talking about. And in this situation, he definitely was a pleaser.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what do we know about pleasers?
Well, being a pleaser, a very gifted,
yes.
very gifted pleaser, working on recovery in that for sure.
Yeah.
Is that we as pleasers are looking at the solution of pleasing the other person, making the other person be happy, which is actually a form of control that we can't see. I'm trying to control your mood and your behavior by helping you be happy with me, because being happy with me is going to cure all the problems. What ends up happening is that the pleaser only anesthetizes or medicates the problem. It never addresses or solves the problem.
Wow.
And so the pleaser must then do the work to learn how to have confrontational, critical conversations about real problems and learn to be okay with it. And that's going to work out some core issues in a person like myself who comes from some abandonment trauma. I have to know that I can have hard conversations, that people may not like me or be pleased with me in a moment or a time and still want to be in relationship with me.
Right, right. In this particular couple, he also said that she had had over 25 men in her life the year before they got married. And if you know stuff like that about somebody who you're thinking about marrying, you might want to pause And, you know, because it's not like you're going to fix that. But, Jacqui, did you notice that when he was talking about that?
Yes. I think I had a physical reaction to that. I thought, that was a red flag. But the pleaser is, you know, I'm different. She's different with me. This will be the last relationship she'll ever need because I'm going to take care of her and make her happy.
And I have the superpower.
I have the superpower, right?
Yeah.
And for 11 years, he thought he was doing that. And then reality struck, and he is now trying to figure out how to, he's still trying to make it better by fixing whatever is going on with her and not confronting the problem.
Yeah.
There's so much fear to confront the problem because he doesn't want to be the bad guy.
Yes.
So it's also interesting too because he actually handed her over to the enemy himself. But it's what happens to us as pleasers. I'm not one, but not being surprised. But it happens because they get isolated. They want everybody else to be good. So he's not gonna impose his problem on anybody.
It was enough for him to even bring it up to the guy.
Yes,
and that was really hard. He didn't know how he was going to have that conversation, and then he has the conversation, and the guy's like, "Man, there's nothing going on here. I'm helping her out. She's struggling. I've been through this before.
Right.
I know how to manage this. I'm going to help her." He helped her right into his bed.
Well, and it's like I told a client who is in a similar situation earlier this week. I told him, I said, your good guy is way overrated.
Yeah.
I'm like, straight up, man. Like that good guy thinks he has more power and is a bigger deal than what he actually is. And that good guy is solving the wrong problem. And as a result, is only giving license and growth to the real problem.
It gives bullies permission to be bullies.
Yeah.
It's the idea that, you know, people can take advantage of me, but I'm a nice guy.
I love it. Well, we're going to go back to the calls, and we are going to talk with Charles, who's calling us from Shreveport, Louisiana, listens on KFLQ, or O, I think. Hi, Charles. We're so glad you called. How can we help you today?
Yes, I'm so glad to be on with you guys. This is my first time ever hearing you. So when I heard you, I was like, there's a question that I have to get off of my chest that I would love for you guys to answer. God is calling me to be a church planter. I hear ministry on my heart so much. I hear build a church, start a church, build community. But it's scary to me because my life previous or before hearing the calling, I was such a sinner. I was such a sinner, and I know I've done things that it's like, how can I even put myself out there like that? And how will people respond to it? So my question is, how do you get over the discouragement when it's hard to be used by God?
Wow. Well, Charles, we love that you're even asking the question because it shows that you're aware of God's call on your life, and it is difficult. But Chris, where would you start?
I'm going to start with something really shocking, is that, Charles, God doesn't want to use you. God wants to love you. And your usefulness will come out of that place. Because the truth of the matter is that, you know what a pastor is? This is between you and I, Charles. He's a sinner. Yeah, because he's a human being. And so the idea behind this is that we're not, you know, again, we know these cliches. God doesn't call the perfect. You know, he actually calls the broken. Now, we have to there's another path here, though. It's yes, I want you to be able to cultivate your work with God in two things: forgiving the past and growing from the past, right? Because I work with a lot of people right now who are going through horrible trauma as a result of church abuse. And let me just be brutally honest. So much church abuse is happening because the leaders haven't worked out their own stuff, and they're working it out on their people. And so
that's so amazing. That's what made me call in.
Yeah. So that inner,
what made me call in.
And that shows me that, Charles, you have some great inner wisdom. So what I would want you to get involved with is a process that you're accountable to and that you're supported well by. That lone rangering any venture like this is only going to create more harm.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to get involved in healthy organizations that don't just look at the strategies of church planting, but look at the whole person who is doing the leading.
Yeah, I'm thinking Life Recovery, Charles, if you were to get involved with the Life Recovery group and begin the process of recovery, your shame that you're feeling right now is going to alleviate, because you're going to recognize, like you said, we all start there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the story is. And Paul himself said he was the greatest of sinners. And yet he
Chief
changed.
sinner.
Yeah,
Right.
chief
Yeah.
sinner. See, so you got something in mind with Paul there, Charles.
And with most of us.
Yes.
Charles, the past that you've lived can inform your ministry. People are going to look at where you came from and try to use that against you. That's Satan's tactic.
Mm-hmm.
It's not new. We expect it. And when God calls us to things, he prepares us. And I think part of his preparing of you is to bring up in your spirit that you have work to do. It's not that you were a sinner and so you can't do this work. It's we're all sinners, is what Jesus came for, and you have to do your work on those things that left pain, those traumatic things.
Yeah, and Jacqui's technology's talking to him.
Those traumatic experiences that you maybe had or caused throughout your youth, those are the things that you want to work on, because what will happen is you will begin pastoring a church from the place of your old wounding, and it will just hurt more people.
Yes, wow.
Because you are going to have some rigidity and some, maybe even some chaos making around whatever you grew up in, and thinking the idea is to hold firm on these new behaviors. And really it's what Chris said. God loves you, and it's that love that's going to grow the church, his church. Just that love. That's what the church planting is about. It's about planting yourself full of God's love in a community where that love is going to grow. And I love the idea, Becky, of a life recovery group.
Yeah, because, when we work recovery, we do believe recovery is for everyone. And Charles, you've already started with just recognizing where you came from and knowing that, life was unmanageable, and I'm handing it over to Christ, but now he's given me this call to help others. That's how we help others, is to be honest and aware. And I love, the idea, Chris, because there are a lot of people out there that in organizational structures, whether it's church or otherwise, that can get you into a corner that's not healthy.
Yeah.
And we want you to continue following a good plan, a good process. You're not going to have to reinvent the wheel. Try a couple of different things out, find a mentor. We can get you connected even with a life coach that can help you along this way, Charles. We're going to send you a copy of the Life Recovery Bible, which has all the steps and devotionals. It's a great way to get started in the journey of life recovery, and we'll even get you connected with the Life Recovery group. It really has changed so many people's lives.
Well, and I just need to reiterate something very quickly, because it's super important. There's a lot of us that want to go out there as Lone Rangers, and that is an unhealthy hero inside of us.
Wow.
Trying to work out something else inside of us.
Right.
The best leadership we will have is with other healthy people who help us get healthier.
There you go.
Accountability is a gift of support, not a police that gets me in trouble.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. If you need some help, don't be a Lone Ranger. Call us, 1-800-229-3000. We'll get you connected. We'll be right back after this.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
I've been listening to New Life for many years, gone to a few workshops. I want to support a ministry that helps people connect with God and with others and gives them the tools to help transform their lives.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Healing, 100 Days from Freedom from Shame, and 100 Days of Freedom from Anger. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. I just want to say a big shout out of thanks to our Club New Life family. These folks are faithful. Every month they give to New Life, and it helps us do all kinds of ministry and helps people in, the most difficult places find hope. And that's what we're all about. If you want to join Club New Life, give us a call or go to newlife.com and click on Club New Life, and we'll get you started to be part of the family. We just want to say thank you. We're going to go to call with Tom, who's calling us from Los Angeles, listens on KKLA. Hello, Tom. How can we help you today?
Hello. Thank you for taking my call. I have a question, and it's really for a friend of mine, and I'm going to have him, I think I can listen to this, have him listen to this call, but he is going into a blended family. He and his wife to be, they are been married before, and so they're bringing in a couple of children into the marriage. I know blended families are really, really hard, but what is some good advice that you could give him that would help him going into this blended family? Because again, I know that it's tough.
Okay, well, Tom, it's a good friend to call on behalf of another friend. And, we have so many blended family situations now. It's a very common occurrence. Doesn't mean it's any easier. But, Chris, how would you start?
I mean, this is terrible to say, but I'm like, stop calling it a blended family and start calling it a blender family. Because it gets messy.
And it can be painful.
It can be painful. But I think that in working with blended families, it starts here. You are not marrying a person. Let's get that crystal clear. If you think you're marrying a person, you're under a horrific illusion, because you are marrying an entire system of people that have already established a way. And most blended families are also marrying into traumatized children, if not themselves are traumatized. So you're marrying into pain and hurt. And also, you're marrying into distrust. And the distrust may not come from the partner. It's probably going to come from the children. And that distrust, if I can even validate it, is necessary. Because what those children need more than anything else is a safe person. What most children in blended family situations do not give you is safe emotions and safe reactions. And so a lot of times I see the mistake is people going in saying, I married this beautiful person that we're going to build a happy life together. And these children are messing it all up. And I just want to go back, and this is harsh for me to say, and I know I'm not in that situation, so maybe it's out of line, but I'm just saying, how selfish.
Wow.
To not consider hurt children in the situation and the care that they need.
That is powerful. Jacqui?
I'm not in that situation, but I grew up in that situation. And as many As numerous as the problems were in my childhood, the thing that my parents did get right was the way in which they blended the family. We just don't have a step mindset, and the children were like, I never felt it. Now, mind you, I am a recovering emotional avoider, and so I'm sure I felt it, but I didn't feel that I'd lost a parent. I just got bonus parents. I got bonus grandparents and bonus cousins, and there wasn't, there were battles. I was a teenager during some of this, and so, of course, I tried to make it as hard as I possibly could for my new father. But the thing that they did the best was that they dealt with their stuff. They didn't make it our problem. And when the kids had something going on, all the adults had to get it together and show up. So Christmases were all the dads could be there. All the stepmoms could be, all the kids were all family.
Yeah.
And so it's important for the kids to have that stability of everybody. Become the bonus dad, become the bonus mom, rather than trying to be the step parent, because there's just some negative connotation about that, and we begin to then act out in those negative ways and feel like we're being treated by our step kids in those negative ways. And so I think that the family needs to do therapy.
Yeah.
Because there's stuff that happened in those two previous relationships, plus they're bringing generational trauma in. They probably previous divorce, they're children of divorce,
Yeah.
of children of divorce,
Yeah.
right? And now we're carrying that trauma forward, and if nobody ever does the work to resolve the way that they are responding to that trauma, we're just passing that down to the next generation. And now we've just blended, like you said, it's the blender family then, right?
Yeah.
And now we have more adults coming out of that marriage that are going to go out and have to do the same thing.
Well, when I think about my own stepdad, as you're saying that, Jacqui, and he did an amazing job, I don't know if it was intentional or not, of playing the long game, of building trust in our lives and showing up for us over a long period of time.
Even with alcoholism, he was still the parent I would call in an emergency.
Yeah.
He was still the most responsive parent, and he's been sober now going on 37 years, thank God. So my children have that great relationship with him, but we wouldn't have that if he hadn't. He's always treated me as if I was his blood-born child. Yeah. And I know that because then my mom and him had a child, my brother, and he doesn't treat any of us any different.
That's beautiful.
There's no line.
Yeah.
between us,
Yeah. And you mentioned, I just had that same experience, and I just, my stepdad, that he is, because my bio dad's no longer with us, and his illness kind of took him out, but my boys know my stepdad as grandpa. There's not another one.
That's it.
And so it's he is a phenomenal grandfather to them, and it is such a huge blessing.
Well, Tom, I think if you have your friend listen to this answer, they're going to get all kinds of information. I think, the key piece of this whole thing is let love guide you. Because when we truly love others, we make room, right? Love is patient, kind, keeps no record of wrongs.
I like the idea of putting your name in there.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Jacqui is patient. Jacqui is kind, right? Tell these truths to yourself and take that into the marriage. And often the kids will suffer because the adult wants to be happy.
Yes.
And I just think that adults need to take a step back and think about that for a moment. How did that work out for you in your childhood? Because I know you're doing it because somebody else did it to you.
Right.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep passing down the same generational trauma.
Right. Well, we are so grateful that you called, Tom. I'm thinking about this weekend, we have our Restore Intensive for women who have experienced betrayal. And what we're talking about here is the pain of recovery. And it's worth doing. It's also what we were talking about when we talk about emotional freedom. And, whatever the pain is, we have to inspect it to find the truth of our life and keep doing that work. Wouldn't it be great if it was just, as easy as go to a beach and hang out for the day? No.
Yeah.
You got to
go write it in the sand and let the waves take it away.
Yeah.
Beautiful sentiment. That's a beautiful
metaphor.
Beautiful metaphor, but you're going to have to actually do something.
That's right. Yeah. And it may not feel good, but
it probably won't.
Right.
Well, and for betrayed partners out there, let me just address this. The work you have to do is unfair.
Right.
That's the bottom line. I wish I could take that away.
Right.
I wish that you wouldn't have to do work because of what was done to you,
Right.
not what you did.
Right.
And yet I want to invite you, because I've seen it so many times with remarkable women who have gone into the work, and what they got on the back end of that was better than they ever had
Yes.
on the front end of the pain.
Yes. Come and be with us this weekend for Restore. Thank you, Jacqui, and thank you, Chris. Thank you, callers and listeners. We will see you next time on New Life Live. You can call us 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and we'll get you connected with some help.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE, but when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.